Jacob Mudenda, the Speaker of Zimbabwe's parliament, has recently dominated headlines for his sharp critique of ICT Minister Tafadzwa Mavetera during a parliamentary session. His remarks, which many viewed as humiliating, have sparked renewed interest in Mudenda's political trajectory and ambitions. This episode, combined with his controversial past and strategic moves within ZANU-PF, raises a critical question. Is Mudenda positioning himself for a vice presidential role? This article explores Mudenda's recent actions, historical controversies, and current political standing to assess whether these developments point toward higher ambitions. This is what he had to say.
While we are still on ICT, you want to start a little ICT park. Why? Why? That is defeating that whole idea of one data center. And in my conversation with you, I said Google is prepared to fund you, to fund the government on a centralized hub. And we discussed that this centralized hub will not be for Zimbabwe government only. And I said, and talking to James Manyika, the vice president of Google, we agreed that if we put in place enablers A, B, C, D, which we discussed, that hub will be a regional hub for the whole of SADC. And when we met in Victoria Falls, Honorable Minister, you remember, you made that statement, and parliamentarians from the SADC Parliamentary Forum agreed with you. And that's the way to go. And if you read this 2025 AI index report produced by Stanford University, you'll be clearly directed as to how you can establish that. Relatedly, it will also give you how you rope in the private sector. Government can't do it alone. It will show you
the ICT showdown Mudenda versus Mavetera. During a recent parliamentary debate on Zimbabwe's digital transformation, Mudenda dismissed ICT Minister Tafadzwa Mavetera's proposal for a modest ICT park as inadequate. He argued that Zimbabwe should aim for a regional data hub serving the entire SADC bloc, citing conversations with Google executive James Manyika and referencing Stanford's AI index report. His tone was assertive, almost condescending, leaving Mavetera visibly embarrassed. This public rebuke did more than highlight policy differences. It showcased Mudenda as a visionary voice advocating for bold technological reforms. In a country where digital infrastructure lags behind global standards, Mudenda's intervention positioned him as a forward-thinking leader, contrasting sharply with Mavetera's perceived lack of ambition. Why does this matter? In Zimbabwean politics, visibility and perceived competence in strategic sectors like ICT can elevate a politician's profile. Mudenda's remarks were not just about technology, they were about leadership optics. The ghost of Willowgate. Mudenda's rise has not been without scandal. The Willowgate Scandal of 1988 to 1989 remains one of Zimbabwe's most infamous corruption cases. Senior officials exploited their positions to buy vehicles from Willow Vale Motor Industries at discounted rates and resell them for profit. Mudenda, then governor of Matabeleland North, was implicated for acquiring a Scania truck under questionable circumstances. While some officials, like Maurice Niagumbo, faced severe consequences, including resignation and tragic suicide, Mudenda managed to survive politically. He retreated into private law practice before re-emerging in public service, eventually ascending to the Speaker's chair. Implications. Willowgate cemented Mudenda's reputation as a political survivor. a trait that often signals resilience and adaptability in Zimbabwe's volatile political environment. The Chabangu saga and opposition weakening. Fast forward to 2023 to 2024, Mudenda played a pivotal role in the Citizens Coalition for Change, CCC, recall saga, when Sengezo Chabangu claimed to be CCC's interim Secretary General and initiated recalls of opposition MPs. Mudenda accepted the letters, triggering a wave of expulsions. Despite CCC leader Nelson Chamisa's protests and subsequent court rulings declaring Chabangu's actions unconstitutional, Mudenda stood firm. Critics accused him of partisanship, arguing that his decisions aligned with ZANU-PF's strategy to weaken the opposition ahead of critical elections. Supporters countered that he was merely upholding parliamentary procedure. Why is this significant? Mudenda's handling of the recalls demonstrated his willingness to make controversial decisions that consolidate ruling party dominance, a quality valued by ZANU-PF's inner circle. Speaker and party heavyweight. Mudenda's influence extends beyond parliament. In a recent Politburo reshuffle, President Mnangagwa appointed him Secretary General of ZANU-PF, a powerful role that controls party administration and strategy. This elevation signals deep trust from Mnangagwa and positions Mudenda at the heart of succession politics. Key takeaway: the Secretary General post is often a springboard to higher office. Combined with his role as Speaker, Mudenda now commands significant institutional and party leverage. Is Mudenda eyeing the vice presidency? Several indicators suggest that Mudenda could be positioning himself for a vice presidential role. A. Strategic visibility. His ICT intervention was not random, it was calculated. By championing a bold tech vision, Mudenda aligns himself with ZANU-PF's modernization narrative, appealing to both domestic and international stakeholders. B. Institutional power as Speaker and Secretary General. Mudenda controls legislative processes and party machinery, two critical levers in Zimbabwean politics. C. Loyalty and survival. Mudenda's ability to weather scandals and remain useful to successive regimes underscores his reliability, a trait Mnangagwa values amid factional tensions. D. Succession dynamics. With Mnangagwa facing internal resistance over a rumored third term and Chiwenga consolidating military-backed influence, Mudenda could emerge as a civilian technocrat alternative or a loyal deputy to balance competing factions. Constraints and challenges. Despite these advantages, Mudenda faces significant hurdles. Age factor. At 79, his advanced age may limit his appeal for a long-term leadership role. Factional rivalries. The military-aligned faction led by Chiwenga may resist his elevation, viewing him as lacking security credentials. Public perception. His Willowgate legacy and partisan handling of CCC recalls could undermine legitimacy in a reformist narrative. Future scenarios. Scenario 1, vice presidential appointment. Mnangagwa could appoint Mudenda as VP to reward loyalty and secure legislative control, especially if Chiwenga's ambitions threaten party unity. Scenario 2, kingmaker role. Mudenda may prefer to remain Speaker and Secretary General, leveraging his influence to shape succession outcomes without assuming executive risk. Scenario 3, retirement with honors. Given his age, Mudenda might opt for a dignified exit, cementing his legacy as a parliamentary stalwart. Jacob Mudenda's recent assertiveness on ICT policy, his controversial handling of opposition recalls, and his elevation within ZANU-PF suggest a deliberate effort to remain indispensable in Zimbabwe's political hierarchy. While direct evidence of VP ambitions is circumstantial, his trajectory aligns with patterns of elite positioning for succession politics. Whether he secures such a role will depend on Mnangagwa's strategic calculus, factional bargaining, and the broader succession matrix as Zimbabwe approaches a critical political juncture. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe.